First thing you want to do is block the ear canal with a cotton bud. Now normally I will always let the model do this just because they know what's comfortable, and it's very important to make sure that they're comfortable throughout the whole process. After that you want to pin the hair away from the ear, and then after that you're going to take Vaseline, or if you don't want to use Vaseline you could use something like hair oil, and you're just going to use this to cover all the hair around the ear. And this is important in case the alginate ends up on it, because otherwise the alginate can really grip onto the hair, and you don't want this to happen, especially if you've got quite long and thick hair. So this way, if you do that, if any alginate does get on the hair, it should come off very easily because the Vaseline is going to create a barrier between the hair and the alginate. Then I'm going to take some cling film and I'm just going to slot it around the ear, and because of the Vaseline it's going to stick quite well down to that, but what you want to do just to make sure that it's a little bit more fixed down is to take some hairpins and just try and pin those down around the edges. Don't worry if a little bit of alginate gets on, it should come off very easily if you've got the Vaseline, but just to be safe, try and pin everything down. Cut out the bottom of a coleslaw pot, and then I put tissue around the bottom so that it isn't scratchy, and this is what's going to hold the alginate in place. I'm going to get my model to hold the pot, and then I'm going to mix the alginate and pour it in. While it's still liquidy, and you've got to do this quite fast because this is going to go hard quite quickly, you want to take your finger and run that around the ear to avoid any ear bubbles. Now in about 3 minutes this is going to go hard, and you're going to know that it's gone hard once it's gone from pink to white, and some of them go from blue to white. It depends on the brand of alginate that you get. Once that's hardened, you're going to wiggle it around a little bit before you pull it off, and there is going to be a little bit of resistance because the ear is a funny shape, so there are going to be little folds which are going to be caught in the alginate. But if you get a little bit of alginate on the hair, don't worry, it comes off so easily, especially if you've put Vaseline on the hair beforehand. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another pot, and this is what we're going to be doing. So we've got the cast here, and these are what they look like, and yes, I know they do look a little bit strange, but then what you want to do is start mixing some plaster. So I'm going to be mixing some stone powder, half stone powder and then half water, and it is going to look quite runny, but that's perfect because then what you've done is once you've got that pot and you've popped it over the first cast, and I'm going to put this in the dish just so that if any of this runs out, it's going to end up in the dish and not all over my sideboard. I'm just going to pour that in all the way to the top and wait for it to dry. I left mine to dry overnight just in case, and then in the morning what you want to do is wriggle that pot around and then it should slide off pretty easily. And now what you need to do is you need to get rid of the alginate. So I'm just going to cut away the tape which is holding that tissue in place over the pot, and then I'm going to cut the pot away. If you're careful with it you could probably reuse the pot, but because I was a bit brutal with it I just broke the pot away, and there's plenty of others where those came from. And then I'm going to cut away the alginate and peel it away. Now the alginate in the inner part of the ear is probably going to be a little tricky to get out, so you might need something like tweezers or a sculpting tool just to pick it out. And then after that what I want to do is clean up the rest of the cast, and as you can see it's taken the shape of the cling film on both of them. So what I'm going to do is scrape that away, and I'm also going to get rid of some of the clay which is going to be in the inside of the ear and clean that out with a toothbrush as well so that that's really neat and clean. Now what I'm going to do is take a sculpting tool and just sculpt away all those ridges, and especially around the edge. I like the edge of these casts to have a really nice smooth edge. I don't like it if they're jagged just because it's not particularly comfortable to use and it doesn't look pretty, and I do like my tools to look pretty and neat. So once that's been cleaned I'm going to go over it with a toothbrush, and that's how it should look when you're finished. And then from then you can go ahead and start making your own custom ears.